For the second night in a row, it is Texas Baseball Countdown here on KCWX. Chuck, we continue. Don Harris with you. It is game 2 of the series between the Red Sox and Rangers from Globe Life Park in Arlington. Already on the show tonight, we will have Rangers legend Rusty Greer. We'll get Nolan Ryan's thoughts on trying to help rebuild the Astros. And we're going to go deep into the vault for this week's Random with the Rangers, who actually now plays for the Red Sox. Now, Don, I found it interesting. I guess Hideo Nomo is the only Japanese-born pitcher to ever throw a no-hitter in the big leagues, and he actually threw 2. So it would have been kind of cool to see Darvish get it for that reason. But also, when this was all going on, the one thing I kept thinking to myself was, don't pitch to Big Papi. Don't pitch to Big Papi. Just put him on base and try to get the next guy.
I mean, he's only the...
They got good pitching last night. They're going to need it again tonight because, you know, Boston's going to be cranky with those bats. So time now to take a look at our Texas Orthodontics projected starting lineups. And first we'll go with the Boston Red Sox. And Don, again, these guys murder at the top of the order with Pedroia, Victorino. This is one guy I thought before Boston signed him, he looked like he was washed up towards the end of his career in Philadelphia, but he was absolute clutch last year for Boston, especially, you know, it seemed like the bigger the game, the bigger he performed. And now we take a look at the Rangers. You know, you talked about the big night that Elvis Andrus had. It's been kind of interesting watching his season go. He got off to a really good start, then he slumped. They moved him down in the order. They moved him back up in the order. He got 4 hits last night, and obviously the Rangers need more of that because hits have been hard to come by. Maybe this is the start of something big because, you know, to go out and get as many hits as they got last night, as many runs, you're hoping, I know the Rangers are, that this is a trend that continues.
Yeah, and in
pitchers for tonight's ball game, let's take a look at those. KFC starting pitchers, and it's John Lester against Martin Perez. And, you know, Lester's just one of those nasty, filthy, gross left-handers that you just don't want to have to face. Easily one of the toughest lefties in all of baseball. Then you got Martin Perez, Don, who got off to a really good start, but has been a little shaky over his last few.
Yeah.
We're just getting started here on Texas Baseball Countdown. Our chat with Hall of Famer Nolan Ryan is on the way next, plus our Texas Diamond. We'll do that and more right after this brief timeout.
Low start, and it looks like the bat's starting to finally...
Yeah, and it is about time, and maybe it has something to do with Adrian Beltre returning back to the lineup, but, you know, he hit a bomb a couple of nights ago, and really the thing went upper tank, and then he drove in another run last night. So, you know, this is what the Rangers need for sure. I mean, this is what they were counting on. You got Beltre and Prince Fielder, 2 great hitters in the middle of the lineup, and it should scare the opponent's pitchers to the point where the guys hitting in front of them should get a lot of pitches to hit because you just don't want these guys coming up with runners in scoring position.
And you made a good point.
Maybe at this point in his career, he's just comfortable being the guy that sees a wealth of pitches and the guy that's the protector for the guy in front of him. I mean, he did that pretty much his entire career with Ryan Braun in Milwaukee. He did it with Cabrera in Detroit. So, you know, maybe that's just who he is at this point.
Maybe he's used to those are the kind of pitches he likes to see. He feels more comfortable.
Yeah, maybe so. All righty, Rusty Greer is a guy who had a long major league career, but it probably could have been even longer had he not played the game Manu Ginobili style. Rusty played 9 seasons in the big leagues and is also the son of a military man. He was born at Fort Rucker, Alabama. Rusty's still working part-time in the organization and has his own thoughts on the Rangers and their plight over the last 2 seasons. Up next, Don's going to have some keys to victory for us, and it's the Rangers and Red Sox Part 2 coming up here on KCWX. We'll do it right after this.
He's got it.
Welcome back. Tonight it's the opener between the Boston Red Sox and the Texas Rangers from Globe Life Park. And for some Northside Ford keys to victory, that's Don Harris.
All right, key number 1, no-hit hangover. You can imagine the Rangers might be a little giddy after Yu Darvish's performance last night. Chuck, is there usually a case where a team has a letdown after such a performance?
Yeah, I think so. And plus, too, we talked about this last night. I mean, Boston's got a murder row, 1 through 9. And no matter who they bring off the bench, it's going to be infinitely hard for Martin Perez tonight. He's going to have to be really good to hold him down.
Speaking of Martin Perez, that's key number 2. It's not me, it's you. And that's really the key for the Rangers. Yu has been about the only guy throwing for them lately. Whether it's Martin Perez or these other guys that really struggled in the Colorado series, the pitching has to get better.
And it does. And, you know, Martin Perez is one of those young kids. You know, I think he's still growing. You know, last year at this time, he'd broken his arm during spring training. So, you know, I think he's still trying to figure some things out at this level, and it's a tough place to learn, as we know. But I mean, this guy went like, I think, 20-something innings this year with a scoreless streak, so he can be that kind of pitcher. We'll see if he can get back to that tonight.
It's tough against Boston. All right, key number 3, bat attack. The Rangers' bats were pretty much silent against Colorado. They're leaving guys on bases, well chronicled. But they did get off to a good start last night. They woke up, they were up to 8-0, and ended up being the final score against a good Boston team. Is it time where they can kind of get out of the slump?
Yeah. What's the old saying? You know, hitting is like the tide rolling in. There's high tide, and there's low tide, and there's high tide again. I mean, I think the hitting for the Rangers is going to be up and down during the course of the year. And, you know, it's good to see guys are starting to come back healthy. And the sooner everybody gets comfortable playing together, probably the better off the Rangers are going to be.
Those are the Northside Ford keys to victory.
All right, Don, earlier this week, you know, you talked about it, the Colorado series was really bad because nobody was hitting and nobody was pitching. In fact, Mitch Moreland, the Rangers outfielder slash DH slash first baseman, had to come in and, hey, maybe they want to think about running this guy out there again.
That's crazy. I mean, think about the kind of athlete that you have to be a big league player, to be either an infielder or an outfielder, and then to be able to take the bump and be able to get guys out and throw 94.
Yeah, I mean, just silly. I think the interesting thing about that is I didn't know Mitch Moreland was a pitcher in college. Apparently he was the closer at Mississippi State, but man, I'll tell you what, I mean, he didn't look like he was afraid of the situation, and I guess he's petitioned Ron Washington before when they've been in a blowout, you know, saying, hey, you don't need to tax the bullpen on a night like this. Just run me out there. I'll do it. But, you know, again, when a guy hasn't thrown off a mound, you run the risk of getting some guy hurt. So I don't know if we'll see this again, but it sure was entertaining the other day.
Watching Johnny Football kick an extra point, except Mitch Moreland apparently made his.
There you go. All righty, when we come back, it's our Nuts About Sports clip of the week, and we're going to go back into the vault for a Random with the Rangers segment. We'll do it right after this. Welcome back to the Shizzo. The Boston Red Sox have several key ex-Rangers on their team. A.J. Pierzynski is one of them, the catcher. A.J. only played one season with the Rangers, but he did a great job with the stick during his time in Arlington. But the front office really wanted to get younger at that spot during the offseason. A.J. has a career in television when his playing days are over. He subbed with Fox during the offseason the last few years. And here's a slice of why that is in tonight's Vintage Random with the Rangers segment, sponsored by Team Express. A.J., wearing your pants up high or down low?
Low.
You got to pick two of these, B.J. Upton, Justin Upton, or Kate Upton.
You got to pick two of them? Well, Kate, obviously, and then I guess Justin.
Sweet snacks or salty snacks?
Sweet.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Do you wish you were a left-handed pitcher?
Sure. Absolutely.
What about the worst ballpark you ever played in any level?
Clinton, Iowa.
What was so special about it?
It smelled like dog food because the Purina plant was there, and the lights were horrible, and it rained for 4 straight days when we were there.
Okay. Major League City with the best restaurant?
Chicago.
Okay. And the best football team on the planet is?
Florida Gators.
Clip of the week.
He got a brain fart there, and that's one of those things he wish he could take back, but he cannot. That is our show for today. Thank you so much for watching. Up next, it's the Red Sox and Rangers from Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. Steve Busby and Tom Grieve, they've got the call. All righty, for Don Harris, I'm Chuck Migotinic. Please, everybody, enjoy the ball game, and we will see you next Friday right here on KCWX TV.